Joe Ann Clack was born on August 23, 1943 in San Augustine, Texas, 2 years after her brother Robert. In case you don't know about this little town, it is in East Texas and has a population of about 2,000 people. She grew up on her 10-acre family farm and walked to the local AME church down the red dirt road as a child where her adoptive parents, Isley and Jerry Maxey, were active participants. Oh, you didn't know she was adopted, did you? Neither did her only offspring, until one of the aunts spilled the family secret that the man and woman her daughter had called Big Mama and Big Daddy were actually Joanne's aunt and uncle. Escándalo! Joanne's biological parents, Robert Sr. and Tommy May, were unable to raise her, so she was adopted by her mom's sister and her husband, who raised her and her brother Robert Jr. as their own. And Jerry Maxey was a force to be reckoned with. Back in the early 1900s, this man secured the purchase of 10 acres of land in a highly segregated, very racist little town in Texas. Such a force he was that the part of town they lived in was lovingly dubbed Maxey Town. Unfortunately, she didn't say much about her childhood, although she did mention that she used to pick cotton in the summers for extra money. I mean, picked cotton. And this in addition to working the family farm. Her daughter Zoanne remembers sitting on that porch, shucking corn and peas, along the fun of buying rock salt to make homemade ice cream. Zoanne has fond memories of playing on that linoleum floor and dialing out with their oversized big black dial phone. She attended Lincoln High School, and she must have been very popular because she was voted Miss Lincoln during her tenure. What a stunner. But instead of pursuing what obviously could have been a very lucrative modeling career, she instead left a promising farming future and headed off to Texas College in Tyler, Texas. It was there that she discovered and joined an organization in which she remained active for the rest of her life, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Inc., Alpha Tau Chapter. She received a degree in education and her teaching certificate. When choosing her next steps, she went against every normal pathway and took a teaching position in Nome, Alaska. She was the only black person in town, but loved her time there. She was welcomed, but never learned how to do any winter sports. After her stint in Alaska, she returned to Texas and got married. But she didn't stay in Texas long because it was off to California she went with her military husband. She continued to teach during this time, and soon after marriage, unto her a child was born. She cherished being a mother, but did not let it slow her down. The young family found themselves back in Houston, Texas, where her husband had grown up. They settled into an apartment off of McGregor in the 3rd Ward section of Houston, back before it was fashionable to live there, and before Beyonce. As her husband was deciding on his career trajectory, Joanne pushed on to continue to better herself and further her education. She utilized the Chicken Little Center preschool at Texas Southern University while she pursued a master's degree in education. She found a position at Eisenhower High School and Aldine ISD and commuted back and forth for years. In the meantime, she and her husband were able to save up enough to buy a house in what was then the Boondocks but is now connected by multitudinous freeways. There literally used to be horses on the way to their house. They bought a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house in Missouri City, Texas, in the neighborhood of Briargate for a whopping $30,000. It was up and coming and just the beginning of the urban sprawl. The house was dead center of a cul-de-sac in which one other family was African American and the rest were all white. Of note is the fact that the opposite is true now. This was the perfect addition to the American dream for her, and she pressed forward with her life. She had the family, the house, the career. What could go wrong? Well, divorce, that's what. Matrimony was not to be the happy ending for her, as she divorced in 1978 after 10 years of marriage. But being a single mom in the late 1970s did not slow her down one bit. She took on more jobs, made sure her kid had every comfort, and forged ahead to make ends meet. Although her commute had become longer with their move, she continued at Eisenhower until a new high school was built just 2 miles down the road, Willow Ridge High School, which was the second racially integrated high school opened in Fort Bend ISD. It was a stunner, all shiny and new. It's where she found her core group of friends and students that she loved till the ends of the earth, even if she did call them beautiful butterflies instead of remembering a lot of their names. She was a big influence in a lot of their lives for years to come. For instance, it was because of her that Thurman Thomas went on to be a Football Hall of Famer. Of course, that's not entirely true, but her love of football and dedication to the school definitely didn't deter from people excelling and becoming their best selves. Joe Ann was involved with the athletic program, including helping out with the cheerleaders. She was also a Future Business Leaders of America sponsor. The woman loved the organization so much that she got certified as a bus driver so they would be able to do more field trips. She invited the kids over to her house for slumber parties at Ms. Tatum's house. She even loved the walls of Willow Ridge, so much so that she was one of the founding members of the Willow Ridge Wall of Honor, to which she herself was inducted in 2007. She has saved countless pictures of students and teachers over the years. She loved being an educator, a mom, and a grandmother. She gave and gave, always putting others first. For instance, after her divorce, she kept the name Tatum because her daughter's last name was Tatum. Many of you know her as Ms. Tatum or Ms. Tate, or many of the other pet names she was given. She didn't change back to her maiden name until Joe Ann changed her name to match her mother's. If anyone was wondering, that's why she made the switch. She was always striving to be better, to expose her daughter to all the things she considered the finer things of life, like skiing. After the Westbury Church of Christ youth group taught her daughter to ski, she got a timeshare in Vail to make sure Joe Ann kept getting the privilege of going. And by the way, if anyone's looking for a timeshare, she went skiing every year the week after Christmas. And when I say skiing, I mean she never learned to ski. It was all for Joe Ann so that she would have that opportunity, but also maybe a little bit so that she could be fancy. Here's a little known fact. She was going to be called Mimi for her grandmother name, but chose May May instead. Partly, of course, because she didn't want the grandmother moniker, but partially because she discovered that May May is what they call grandmothers in France, and she wanted to be all fancy and Frenchy. She never got to travel to France herself, but in her lifetime, she was able to do a lot of cruises that allowed her to go all over the Caribbean and Mexico. She spent a few weeks in India with her daughter, where she was able to fully immerse in another culture, although she emphatically decided she did not like Indian food. She was steadfast in the support of her daughter, first to become a doctor, then to become a writer-producer for television. Although she not so secretly wanted her daughter to keep pursuing medicine rather than the insecure job of television writing, she enjoyed the fruits of the labor by attending award shows and hobnobbing with famous people from time to time. She retired in 2003 and had a blowout retirement party that was the talk of the town. Despite retiring, she kept very active in her city, county, and school districts. She continued with her political advocacy, working the polls, and being involved in various youth programs. She enjoyed many activities, including the Fort Bend Emergency Medical Corps, CASA Volunteer for the foster care system, Republican Women on the Go, Lions Club International, and volunteering at Bush High School. She kept up with family and friends alike. Unfortunately, she had to wait till very late in life to become a grandmother, but she did get to become a godmother to Drew and see him grow up. Despite being on borrowed time when she finally became a grandmother, she savored the time she got to spend with Thelonious and then Matisse and Sonata. Her face would always light up when she saw them, and she would spoil them like a grandmother should. She would give anything for them, except maybe her sorority. Let me give you an example of how important AKA was to her. After waiting for over 60 years to have a grandchild, her first grandson Theo was born in 2013 and had to be in the NICU for 2 weeks. He was born at exactly the time Joe Ann was named a Golden Soror for over 50 years of membership and service to AKA. She figured her new grandson wasn't going anywhere, and her single mom doctor-daughter was cool, so she went to her ceremony in New Orleans and had a blast. She loved the sisterhood, and it was an honor that not just anyone gets, and it was well-deserved. She and her sorors also successfully fought to get her daughter an honorary membership in 2008, which was an amazing feat in and of itself. A testament to her commitment to friends and family was a surprise 70th birthday party. So many relatives and friends came out to celebrate her. She was so grateful for the fellowship, the party, and the food. Little did we know it would be the last time for this kind of gathering, as her cognitive difficulties started soon thereafter. 2020 was a very hard year, as it was for many. She caught COVID in the beginning of April, and we almost lost her 3 times. But when asked if she was ready to go, she emphatically stated no when she could barely talk, and proceeded to continue to live, defying all odds at the time. This was after 2 months in the hospital and then 1 month in rehab. We will all remember her for her zest for life, her volunteer service and dedication and commitment to education, youth, friends, and family. We knew her, we loved her, and her memory will always be a blessing. We pay tribute to this magnificent woman on this day and know that she will never be forgotten because she has played such a big role in the hearts and minds of many. Farewell to the physical body of Joe Ann Clack, and hello to the memories. She will be missed.